welcome to my second bullet journal video. Thank you all so much for the great response on my last bullet journal video. I didn't expect so many of you guys would actually be interested in this new series and would actually like it, so thank you all so much. It really motivates me to make more of these bullet journal videos. So today I'm going to be planning with you guys for September. Of course, I started off with the main page of the month and I wrote out September, and for this I used just a regular fine liner, and I also got some new calligraphy pens. I still kind of need to figure out how they exactly work, but I discovered a kind of trick if you want to have really nice handwriting. So when you're making these kind of calligraphy letters, you want to go when you're going down, you want to make the letters thick, and when you go up, you want to have thin lines. So when you're writing out a word after that, you can go in with a bit of a thicker pen or marker and make the letters a bit thicker on the lines where it goes down. And yeah, I think that just looks really nice. For the theme of this month, I wanted to do a kind of space/universe theme. So basically what I did, I got some inspiration from Pinterest, like I always do, and I doodled some planets, stars, and all these kind of things. Then I made two other drawings on separate pieces of paper, and I basically just imitated some doodles which I found on Pinterest. Credits to those people who actually made those drawings. I thought they would look really nice, and to also make them on another piece of paper would just give a very nice 3D touch. So I used some washi tape to stick those pieces of paper on the page. I wanted this theme to be quite minimal, so with not a lot of colors. So the only thing which I did after I added those two doodles was make a border around the page. For the second page, I'm going to do my schedule of the month. This is what I also did last time, and I think this one is just very helpful and you have a great view of the total month. So I wrote out schedule again with the same calligraphy trick, and then I also made a kind of garland at the top of the page with some stars hanging on strings, and I thought this would look really nice and gave a nice touch to that theme. I actually made this page very similar to the August schedule. Again, I made a vertical line with my marker and I wrote out all the dates. After that, I made 3 columns for my work, YouTube and personal life. I actually made the work column a bit smaller compared to last time, and YouTube also a bit smaller, and then the personal column quite big compared to the other 2 columns, because I just have to write out a lot more in that column. The last thing which I did was write down all the dates before the dates, and I also wrote down some events which I already know would happen this month. Then we go to the next page. The last time I used this for my goals, to-do list and motivation. I actually wanted to keep out the to-do list and also the motivation. I do want to keep the goals because I think it's very handy and it's just really nice to write down your goals of the month. Again, I made 2 doodles and on separate pieces of paper. So what I did first, I stick those 2 pieces of paper in my bullet journal with some washi tape. Top left, I wrote down goals as a main title, again in the same style of font, and then on the right I wrote down videos. So instead of doing a to-do list and a motivation on the page, I wanted to keep some space open for video ideas. As for the goals of this month, I set 3 goals. The first one is go on time to bed. And yeah, again, I want to get more sleep, and especially now school has started, I need to get up earlier. So that's why, of course, one of my goals is to go earlier to bed, and yeah, I'm just not really good at it. Then the second goal is finish homework. Last year I actually didn't do a lot of homework while I actually should, and then I was studying very last minute, and that was very stressful. So my goal is to just start on time for every subject, start on time with my homework and really finish it. And the third goal is spend less time on my phone. And yeah, I just have a phone addiction, so hopefully I can kind of spend less time on my phone, although this will be very difficult. After I wrote down my goals, I switched to 2 pieces of paper because I wanted to have more space for my video list, and I just wrote down some video ideas. I added some more stars to give a bit of decoration to the page, and then I went on to the next page. So last time I used this one for my sleep tracker, my workout tracker, and also video ideas. Of course, I had the video list already on the last page, and I actually wanted to keep out my workout tracker because I don't work out every day. I already have 3 times a week hockey training and then a match on Saturday, so I think that's already enough of physical activity. So I thought let's just do again the sleep tracker because I still want to keep track of my sleep hours, and then also a mood tracker. After I wrote down the main title, it was time to make the box for my sleep tracker, and compared to last time, I made the box vertically instead of horizontally, otherwise there's not enough space for all the dates of the month. So I just made the box. I wrote down all the dates horizontally, and then vertically on the box I wrote down the hours of sleep. If you didn't see my last bullet journal video, how I exactly work with this chart, every day I set a dot at the hours of sleep which I got last night, and after that I'm going to connect these dots with some smaller dots so I have a nice graph. And I actually forgot to also add a little box with my goal, the goal of amount of sleep which I want to have this month, and then the average. Yeah, I forgot that, as you can see. Afterwards, I made my mood tracker, and this one actually looks very similar to the workout tracker which I made last month. I made vertically on the page quite a small box, and I separate that one into 2 boxes, one smaller. So the top box would be for the dates of the month, and in the box underneath that I'm going to track my mood and just like emotions. So I also made it a small log, and all of these emotions are also put into boxes. And for example, I have normal, I've got sleepy, productive, I don't know, all these kind of like emotions. And what I'm going to do every day, I'm gonna track my mood of that day, and I kept the space open so it would be possible to put 2 boxes of emotions in every day. I hope that's kind of clear. I hope you understand it. I'm not really good at explaining, so I hope it's quite obvious. The last thing which I did to this page was add some washi tape to the corners of the page to give it a bit more color. And that's how these 2 pages turned out. I'm very happy with how they look. I think they do look very simple, and there's not a lot of color and stuff, but probably when I fill out the things, the tracker, it will be a bit more full. And of course I wanted to keep the theme quite minimal. Just like last month, I'm going to do a line a day for the next page. I think this is just really nice to write down every day kind of thought or just a little summary of what I've done that day, and that will just be very nice to look back on. So I wrote down a line a day, and then I made these tiny garlands with stars and planets, just really fit the theme. And of course, I made a vertical line with my marker and I wrote down all the dates of the month. And for the rest of the page, I actually just kept it open because I, of course, need quite a lot of space to write down a line every day. I'm going to be using the next page for my expense tracker. I also did this last time and I think it's very handy. It's just very useful to see how much money you spend and also what you spend your money. I started with writing expense tracker at the top of the page as the main title, and then I added some falling stars. For the expense tracker, just like last time, I made one big box, but instead of 3 columns, I added 4 columns instead this time, because I also wanted to add the category to the tracker. So this way I have 4 columns. First column is the date, then the second one is description, then we've got category, and the last one is the amount of money. Under the main tracker, I made a smaller box, and this box is for the total money that I spent this month, and I'm also going to be dividing that into different categories. Next to my total spend box, I also added a total income box, and this way I can see how much money I make this month, and I also divided that into 3 categories. And to finish it off, I drew a little box, and this will be the balance between my total spend and the total income. And that's how these 2 pages turned out. I think they look very empty because of course I haven't filled anything in yet. So I flipped the page, and the first thing what I did was added some washi tape to the corners so I would have a bit more color on these pages. These pages are for my weekly schedule, and the last time I didn't really organize this, but what I want to do, I want to use every 2 pages for 1 week. So I wrote down week 35 at the top, and therefore I will be using these 2 pages for that week. Then I wanted to add some doodles as decorations to the pages. So again, I doodled on separate pieces of paper some little drawings. First I made a telescope, and I also drew some constellations behind that. And on the other piece of paper I drew some mountains, and again with constellations. After that, I organized the weekly schedule. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write down the day every time, and then next to that the date. I also sticked my pieces of paper with doodles on the 2 pages with some washi tape, and then I also wrote down the other days and dates, and I wrote the dates in some little boxes and drew a line under the days. To add another decoration to the page, I drew a Polaroid picture with a constellation inside of it, and it's the zodiac sign Virgo, which belongs to this time of the year. Next up, I started to fill out my weekly schedule. So what I did for every day, I made the left side a little box with events. So these are appointments and events of the day, for example school or hockey training. And right next to that I made a to-do list banner, and I wrote down some things which I had to do for that day. I didn't fill out the week completely yet because I didn't know all the exact events and to-dos for every day yet. So the last thing which I did to this page was add a little spaceship which I drew next to Wednesday. And that's how my September bullet journal setup turned out. For this month, I'm going to give you guys a quick flip through. So first off, of course, we've got the main page with September. I think it looks very nice. I also added some more constellations to the top. And then we've got, of course, the schedule, very similar and straightforward, just like last month. We've got on the next two pages, on the left side, we've got the goals and videos, and on the right side is a sleep mood tracker. I think the goals and videos page looks very nice with the two doodles, and the sleep and mood tracker will just be very handy and fun to look back on. On the next two pages, we've got a line a day and the expense tracker. A line a day will be very nice to just write down some things, and the expense tracker is also going to be very useful, and I think this layout is also quite handy with the category. And then of course the last thing that we've got is the weekly schedule. I'm very happy with how this turned out. I think it looks really nice, this layout, and it's also very handy with the events in one box and then a to-do list on the other side. And that's how my bullet journal of this month turned out. I'm very happy with how it looks. It does look very minimal and simple, but yeah, I think it's a really nice theme. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also, if I inspired you to start a bullet journal or inspired you with a theme, then go tag me on a photo on Instagram with your bullet journal. And thank you all so much for watching, and I see you next time in a new video. Bye!